What up, my Yugi bros? Back at it again with another duel video. Today we are going to look at two 30 card decks. Why we're doing 30 I'll explain in a second. But we are playing Relinquished and our opponent is playing XYZ. Now I know my earlier videos have been already showcasing Relinquished and XYZ, but we're doing a bit of a different take this time. XYZ is playing 30 cards mainly because we tried the deck with 2 of each of the machine unions. Problem with that is it's just not enough, but with 3 of each it's too much. So we figure if we extended the deck to 30 cards, which is the max you can play in speed duels, we'd kind of have like a 5th gadget routine for those old school players that understand what that means. Where back in the day, you wanted to play red, yellow, and green gadget at 3 in your deck. Statistically, you'd open too many gadgets in a 40 card deck with 9 gadgets in the deck, among other things. So you would boost the deck to 45 cards to make the ratio of opening gadgets a lot less, considering one gadget would essentially get you all the gadgets over time. So same thing here, we're taking X, Y, and Z, we're playing them at 3 max and the 3 Union Hanger obviously, and the 3 Foolish Burial, which acts as like pseudo Union Hanger in this deck, and we max the deck out at 30 cards so that, you know, we don't see as many pieces in our opening hands as we see actual spell and trap cards. Relinquished, we're doing an interesting take, we're playing 30 cards with Foolish Burial, Allure of Darkness, and the new Pre-Preparation of Rites. In addition to our regular pieces as well, this allows us, Foolish Burial allows us to play the Djinns, both of them, as one-ofs in the main deck to access basically all options, as well as having Illusionist, Faceless Magician as well, and Allure. Everything in the deck except for Senju and Sonic Bird are dark, so we can kind of turbo through the deck as we please. So, starting it out here, we elected to go second. We are playing Switcheroo, by the way. Switcheroo is the skill that twice per duel you can shuffle a card once per turn from your hand into the deck, then draw 1 card, and then flip it over. It's to fix our hand. So Relinquished, now that it has pre-prep, doesn't need to play Ritual Ceremony or Thousand Eyes Spell unless you really want to go into a Thousand Eyes Restrict. So we've been messing around with different skills. We tried No More Mrs. Nice Mind in the last video. I've been messing around with other cards as well, but right now Switcheroo seems to be the all well-rounded skill for this deck, just to make sure you always open what you need and you don't brick. So they're going to start out with a Union Hanger here. As we've said before, Union Hanger adds a Light Machine Union monster. It won't add X Head Cannon, so in this deck it only adds exclusively Y Dragon Head or Z Metal Tank. And you're going to usually want to search Y, because Y only gives a monster a 400 point boost, whereas Z gives a 600 point boost, and both Y and Z have 1500 attack respectively. So if you normal summon this and then equip Z with this from the deck, it'll be at 2100, whereas if you normal Z and equipped Y, it would come out at 1900. So you want that extra little bit of boost, obviously. So they're going to normal summon the Y here, they're going to equip the Z Metal Tank, and then they're going to banish to summon the YZ Tank Dragon. The only reason you do this turn 1 is if you have Union Scramble, so it's kind of obvious that they're going to have that down as one of their face downs, because Union Scramble gives you the materials back and gives you such a huge field advantage going into the following turn. But there's no reason not to do it. Like, I understand the bluff of you could just wait, or you could bluff that you did this and then, you know, you don't actually have the Union Scramble face down, but, you know, I would just play it safe if that's the case. So we draw into Pre-Preparation of Rites. Guys, this hand is lit. I'm just going to say that straight up. Like, we don't even need the Switcheroo. We normal summon Breaker the Magical Warrior. We have more room for normal summonable monsters since we don't need to play as many Senjus or Sonics, if at all, because we have this card. So Breaker, beautiful card in this game, gets a spell counter when it's normal summoned, and then you can remove that spell counter to destroy a spell or trap. So we target the back row, happens to be Union Scramble. Sucks for us because we didn't hit a relevant back row, but the upside is it forces them to use Scramble early so that we can play around their board. They're going to trigger the Union Hanger since they summoned 2 pieces, and they're going to equip Z to this Y, like so. We then activate Foolish Burial, dumping the Djinn Desirer of Rituals, the one that makes our ritual monster unaffected by traps. Normally I would dump the hand one here, but we're not really sure if this is going to be a relevant card or not, so better be safe than sorry. We're going to then activate Black Illusion Ritual, banishing the Djinn. Oop, here we go, hold on a second. There we go, special summoning the Relinquished to the field. They use Relinquish's effect and take the YZ Tank Cannon. Tank Cannon? Tank Dragon. My bad. Then we activate Pre-Preparation of Rites because the hand wasn't already insane as it is. Getting another Black Illusion Ritual and Relinquished. We will then activate Black Illusion Ritual, sending Breaker to the field from the field to the grave to summon our second Relinquished and absorb the monster that's equipped with Z Metal Tank. Therefore, Z falls off, and all of a sudden, we've hugely shifted the power of the game right here in this one turn. So Relinquish coming out strong. XYZ definitely had a huge play, but Relinquish swinging out a little bit bigger. So we're gonna swing. We're gonna do the. We're gonna have this Relinquish kill the Z, and then we're gonna try to swing in for 21. However, they're gonna pay 1,000 with Cosmic and banish the monster, so we actually get nothing off of that. The one here, the counter, is to represent the fact that that Relinquish is not affected by trap cards. They draw into Book of Mu, so they are going to normal summon their Wide Dragon Head, activating their Union Hanger's effect, putting a Z on it as well. They're then going to set their Book of Moon and go straight into battle phase, swinging over our Relinquish for 2,100, and we can't do anything about that. We're going to draw into a dead Relinquished here, so we're going to start off with our Switcheroo and draw into our Illusionist Faceless Magician. So now we have some defense. Unfortunately, we can't get over this 2,100 beat stick, so we will be forced to pass. On the draw phase, they'll draw into Offerings to the Doomed. They still have the Book of Moon face down. They're going to check the graveyard once again because Union Combination allows them to fuse from the graveyard. They're going to trigger Z's effect as an equipped spell to summon it to the field, which thus triggers Union Hanger. Such a good play. This deck is really consistent. So they're going to put Y on Z. Then they're going to set the offerings. They're going to go into battle phase and have Z that's equipped attack into Relinquished. Our equip goes. Then they're going to have the Y attack into our Relinquished, and we get Illusionist Faceless Magician. We draw into another Faceless Magician. Beautiful play here. We tribute one for the other. Then Faceless' effect in the grave, since it was sent from the field to the grave, lets us summon back Relinquished. On the summon, however, they're going to Book of Moon the Relinquished, so much for that play. And then we are going to actually cast Faceless. The reason we do this is because... So this effect's not going to trigger again because we already got the effect. Each effect of this card is once per turn, but we're going to do this to get it off the field simply because they could fuse on a later turn, make a bigger monster, swing over this and do a massive amount of damage. In most cases, you want to minimize damage because Cosmic Cyclone pays 1,000. We're not maining Cosmic Cyclone, but we would like to minimize damage just in general. So we're going to have that thing attack and die at the cost of 300 life points. They draw into Zoma the Spirit because this deck wasn't insane enough already. They're going to activate the Y that's equipped, summon it. Then Union Hanger is going to trigger. I'm sorry, Union Hanger is not going to trigger. They already have all 3 Z's in the grave. 2 there and the 1 here. They're going to banish the 2 for another YZ Tank Dragon. They're going to use its effect, discarding Zoma, destroying our face down Relinquish, which summons our Faceless Magician, which they can't get over. However, they have an Offerings to the Doomed, which they'll use to destroy Faceless. Faceless will then trigger summoning Relinquish back. But, unfortunately, that's not going to be enough to save us. The Y will attack over it, and then YZ will attack for game. So, really close back and forth there. We opened God Tier hand, and they thwarted it. It was pretty ridiculous, actually, if you ask me. So, going into Game 2, we elect to go second. They're going to start out by setting both Floodgate, Trap Hole, and Cosmic Cyclone. I haven't actually seen a lot of people play Floodgate right now, and I feel like this card got a little bit better going into this format, because Moth isn't so prevalent, and Floodgate wasn't good against Moth because the skill that summoned Moth, you couldn't Floodgate that, because it was summoned off a skill, you can't chain to a skill. But with less of that going around, Floodgate's a little bit more relevant. So they set the Floodgate in the Cosmic, we normal Breaker the Magical Warrior. They're going to immediately Floodgate it, which is the point of Breaker, just to bait basically all their back row, so we don't pop random ones. So we're going to set Lost Wind and Offerings and pass. Lost Wind's really good tech against XYZ, target a face-up special summon monster on the field, negate its effects. Also, its original attack is halved. This is both permanent, by the way. This isn't for one turn. And then, if a monster is special summoned from your opponent's extra deck while this card is in your graveyard, except during the damage step, you can set this card but banish it when it leaves the field. So you get 2 uses out of it, which is really good. It allows you to side basically more options instead of just multiple of these. You could side 2 of these. I would never side more than that if you're assuming you're going to get that extra use out of it. But the card is really powerful. They're going to draw into Foolish Burial. They're going to normal summon Z. They're going to Foolish out X from their deck. So they have an X and a Z if they want to make the fusion. They're going to then use Union Combination, allowing them to banish from the field and graveyard to make their monsters. The downside, they can't do battle damage. They can't do any damage for the rest of the turn, but that's of little consequence. You can still destroy monsters and stuff by attacking. They're going to set Union Combination. They're going to have XZ attack our defense monster, and they're going to pass. We elect to not do anything about that because this is permanently stuck because of Floodgate Trap Hole's effect. So, you know, we'll let it go. We draw into Sphere Karibo. We activate Switcheroo, shuffling Relinquish back into the deck. Drawing into Pre-Preparation of Rites, we're going to normal summon Senju, adding Relinquish, which is why we didn't worry about getting rid of it, but of course we drew Pre-Prep anyways. There we go. We're going to activate Pre-Prep, adding Relinquish and Black Illusion Ritual. We are then going to activate Black Illusion, sending Senju, summoning Relinquish to the field, and using its effect. Unfortunately, neither one of these back row can stop us, so we're going to get XZ Tank Cannon, and we are going to go into battle phase and swing. They're going to take the full 2400, and at end phase use the Union Scramble to summon back both materials. They're going to draw into Floodgate Trap Hole, which is a little late, and that's the only downside of Floodgate's effect, which is why Book of Moon will probably see more play, but this is a cool side deck tech, in addition to other things that you can play. They are going to switch both their monsters to attack, set Floodgate, and swing. Anything during attack deck is what they ask. We have the Sphere, but we're going to say no. We assume they're going to flip something like Cosmic, and they do in Battle Step, banishing our monster, so the thing switch would swing over it for 1500, but we will offerings it off the board, forcing it now to make it so that the Sphere Karibo can switch their X head here to defense mode, so that we can absorb the X head going into our turn. We can't draw because of Offerings to the Doomed, but we will use Switcheroo's effect to shuffle one card in once again. Drawing into Senju. Senju adds Relinquished, and then we will go into battle phase. We will use Relinquish's effect first. They got a late Floodgate here off the Senju, but we'll allow it, of course. We have everything to go for game, and we do. So that's game 2. Back and forth. Both of these decks really, really strong. Going into the next format. Obviously, I have a bit of a bias because I love Relinquish. It's my favorite Speed Duel deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! But I think XYZ is definitely going to be one of the best decks to beat, alongside Dark Moth, alongside, you know, Warrior Toolbox. So that's why I wanted to take a crack at Relinquish playing against XYZ, and I wanted to showcase these 30-card decks, guys, because I think these decks are really, really solid. So they open the Union Hanger, Book of Moon, Floodgate, Scramble, and Zoma. They activate the Hanger, and we Cosmic Cyclone. Cosmic Cyclone is so good, considering it's a quick play, that it just gets that off the board, and now all of a sudden they have no monsters to play with. So instead they're going to set Zoma, set Floodgate, and set Book of Moon, and pass. We draw into Black Illusion Ritual. We'll activate Pre-Preparation, adding Relinquish and Black Illusion Ritual number 3. We'll activate Switcheroo's effect, shuffling a Black Illusion Ritual. For Offerings to the Doomed, we will set that, go into battle phase, and have Senju swing for 14. They'll gladly take that. We'll end phase. They'll activate Zoma. They'll get a Wide Dragon head in their draw phase, so they'll normal summon that. Going into battle, they'll have a Wide Dragon swing over our Senju, and they will have Zoma swing in directly. And we draw into Cosmic Cyclone. Now this is risky because we have 1100, but we figure let's go for it. We'll pay 1000. We'll YOLO the back row hit. We're not too worried about Zoma because we'll absorb it. We hit Book of Moon, seems really good here. We're gonna unfortunately, however, have to Switcheroo number 2. Because we contribute Relinquish for the other Relinquish, but I don't know, we'd kind of rather a real play, whether we can get rid of a Senju, a Sonic Bird, or a Breaker, or something of that nature. If we draw into Sphere Karibo, we can use it for the tribute now, and then maybe a tribute later, or Illusionist Faceless Magician. So we're going to try really, really hard here. Shuffling the spell makes the most sense since the other 3 still are at play. Shuffling in Black Illusion Ritual, and we draw into Pre-Prep, which I guess works here. It does get what we want it to do. We're going to have to tribute a Relinquished for another Relinquished. but it does do what it needed to do. They're going to Floodgate on Summon. That's fine. We'll activate Black Illusion, attributing that Relinquished for another Relinquished, absorbing the Zome of the Spirit, and swinging over the Y Dragon Head, still with our Offerings to the Doomed intact. So seems pretty good, right? I agree, except for the fact that they top deck Union Hanger. So they're going to do this, activate this, use its effect to add Z Metal Tank. And it's an interesting thought because, like I said, you'd normally want to search Y Dragon Head. But in case they think that we're going to do something to the summon of this, it's actually smarter to get this in this situation. That way, if it does hit Grave, you could then banish for this thing's effect. So, hey, I mean, makes sense. Carrier's going to go off. We could Offerings this, getting rid of it. This wouldn't resolve. However, they'd then have Y and Z in the graveyard to banish for this. And they could summon it, but they wouldn't be able to do damage for the rest of the turn. It's an alternative play that, looking back on it, maybe we should have done it, but unfortunately we did not. So they're going to go into this. They're going to then banish both of them for a YZ tank dragon. They're going to set Union combination and go straight into battle phase and swing, and we're going to Offerings to the Doomed the YZ. And now we can't draw because of Offerings, so we will debate this for a little bit and then attack. We could switch it to defense mode and see what we could have done. But unfortunately, you know, if we want to get in some mass damage here, we'll just swing in. They have the combination, but they're actually going to let the damage go through and on end phase use it, getting back both of their monsters. And at this point, you would say that the game is probably over. All they need to do is either equip or make the YZ swing over for 300. Hanger is going to activate here, equipping Z to Y. Then they draw into a scramble. They use Z's effect, summon it to the field, equipping a Y from the deck. Then they're going to activate the other Z, equip it to that Y, and then after a little bit of thought, they end up banishing both for YZ. They might as well because they have the scramble if for some reason this failed to go through, but as you know, it will go through because we don't have anything to stop it. And we don't even have a Faceless in the grave. Not that it matters, we only have 100 life points left anyways. We're going to take that damage, technically Relinquish, reflex that damage back, but we've already lost at this point, so that, unfortunately, is game. But guys, this is such a good matchup. Relinquish has such a good matchup against this deck inherently anyways, because their monster's equipped, but we can take the equipped, thus ruining the other equip, or take the big monster, making them have to go into another big monster to get rid of it. So it's a really good matchup. Definitely think this deck can compete with the big boys this format, as I do every format. I assume Relinquish is always going to be one of those like dark horses of the format, but Switcheroo right now is the skill I'm messing with. Let me know if you guys think we could change it or improve upon it. But anyways, let's go to the deck lists, shall we? So with Relinquish for this 30 card deck, we are playing triple Relinquish, double Senju, double Sonic Bird, triple Faceless Magician, triple Breaker, triple Sphere Karibo, one of each Jin, 2 Allure of Darkness, not 3, these aren't dark, but the rest are, so you know, we don't need to max out, 3 Pre-Prep, 3 Black Illusion, 3 Foolish Burial, and 1 Jar of Avarice. Now, the reason we are playing Jar of Avarice is because between these and these, we will get the cards that we need before we always need them. The problem with pre-prep is that mid to late game, if you've drawn any of these early on, then this is dead because it needs to add both. And if you draw any of these in the wrong situation, they can also be dead because you've already gone through your pre-preps and stuff. So we have Jar of Avarice to like just mix and match everything back to the deck anyways. But it also makes for a really easy side out between this, sometimes Allure of Darkness, and the Jins for any of these actual options, which is 1 Offering, 2 Book, 2 Cosmic, and 1 Lost Wind. Normally we main the Book of Moon and the Offerings to the Doomed, but we figured we'd side them. We'd give this deck more of a consistency boost all around, and have these come in depending on the matchup. So it's a really interesting deck. I'm definitely not finished messing around with this deck still. I don't know if 30 cards suits this deck, but it definitely suits the winner of today's matchup, which is XYZ. Now this 30 card deck is on point, let me tell you. Triple X Head Cannon, triple Y Dragon Head, triple Z Metal Tank, triple Union Hanger, triple Foolish Burial, and triple Archfiend's Oath. which is the pseudo-foolish burial for this deck. Once per turn, pay 500 life points, declare one card name, excavate the top card of your deck, and if it is the declare card, you add it to your hand, otherwise send it to the graveyard. Basically, you add whatever you think you may need to your hand, you declare that, and if you get it right, cool, you just drew a card. It was basically an upstart goblin for 500 life points. If you don't, if you call it wrong, it goes to the graveyard. And let's be fair, most of the cards in this deck, you want in your graveyard. Outside of just extra copies of the same thing, you want these in your grave, you want this in your grave if, you know, you're not drawing it. So it acts as another foolish burial. It's kind of nuts. Like, if you look at the deck like this, right, these two rows that aren't Book of Moon are basically either upstart / foolish burial / you know, peace. So it's kind of nuts. Also, like I said, with Relinquished, where like the allures are the option, this is such an easy side out going into the side deck that you can play whatever you want. You don't need this in the main deck after game 1. It's just a consistency card, so it's super easy to side out. Continuing on, we have 2 Book of Moon in the main, 1 Offerings, and triple Cosmic Cyclone. Triple only because we're playing 30 cards, so you're probably not going to see more than 2 the entire game. But the way this deck is by speed, you might still see it. And even if so, you can side one out, or you can bluff it face down. The triple Union Scramble, this card is insane, and then triple Zone of the Spirit. Having this just gives the deck such an extra buff, because having another 18 beat stick is nice, but also having its effect in the game, such a consistency boost. Like, if I could throw this into Relinquish, I probably would, because it's just such an extra piece that your opponent has to play through that has nothing to do with the actual deck, that it can steal games, and it definitely has stolen games before. Everyone knows how dumb this card is as of last format. So on the side deck, we have the second Offerings to Doom, 2 Lost Wind for the mirror match mainly, but also against Relinquish, it's really good as well. 2 Floodgate Trap Hole, this is good against a lot of random stuff, but also because this and Book of Moon switches a monster face down, then allows this thing to pop a face down monster if you don't have XYZ on the field. And then we side actually XY Dragon Cannon. The more I've been messing with XYZ, even if it's not this 30 card build, I feel like you main deck 2 YZ for face down monsters, 2 XZ for face down spell and traps, and 2 XYZ, because this is actually easier to bring out than I had originally intended. So I apologize in the first video where I said we only play 1. I think actually 2 might be the way to go. But if you don't, if you still just play 1, then play this as the other option, for sure. But this is only good against decks that play face-up spell and traps. So unless you're seeing more than just face-up Zomas, for example, Relinquish with its face-up equips, or Parasite Paranoid, I mean, that's not exactly a good example because that'll usually leave the field in the same turn, but trap monster decks, trap heavy decks, continuous spell and trap decks. Otherwise, this card doesn't really do a whole lot. So I actually have it in the side deck. We bring it into the matchup that we feel we need it, and we usually take out one of these or one of these. But this guy actually stays in most of the time. The deck has so much recyclability that this comes out more than I thought it would. So that's where I'm at with that. But guys, what do you think? Leave a comment in the comments down below about either of these decks. What do you think about the 30 card mishmash? What would you like to see me mess with next? Leave all your comments in the comment section down below. Please comment, like, and subscribe as always. Click that notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video. Yugi Bros out.